Hello and welcome to the next Lukozer retro game review video. Well, for this one it is Super Snake Simulator, and if you have the same speech impediment that I do, that's not a title you want to say very often. So this is a game by Shaun Southern, who I am quite a fan of. And this was released in 1988 by Alternative Software. It was part of a release, I think it was called something like Triple Decker, something like that. It basically consisted of 3 original games in like a sort of mini compilation, I suppose. Around this time there was a bit of a trend for this sort of thing, a bit like the portmanteau films from the early 70s. I don't quite know why or how it all started. Surely it can't have been because of fucking cassette 50. The trouble is, I didn't bother with any of these sort of releases back in the day purely because of cassette 50, because I did have that. It was bought for me by my mum. Cheers. And so because that was utter shit, it put me off these sort of, you know, mini compilations of original games. It put me off them for life. So, Super Snake Simulator, I mean, it makes you think, surely it's not just, you know, Snake. Surely Shaun Southern has not made Snake in 1988. Well, there's one way to find out. Here we go. Level 1, nice and easy. Yes, that's exactly what he's done. So, the idea is to get the snake length to the required amount, as well as getting bonus points for the those things that are floating around there. And there we go, so on to level 2. So if you score, the length is, you see, 0 of 25. So once you've got to 25, you go on to the next level. After that, it shows the level, then your lives, and then the high score. Now this game is a lot more difficult than it looks, thanks entirely to the fact that the controls are ludicrously sluggish. I don't know if that was by design or what, but when you press the key or move the joystick in the direction you want to go, there is something like half a second of delay. Collecting that F means you instantly go on to the next level. That's the only one of those sort of bonus squares that comes up that I can remember what it does. But yeah, I mean, here we are. It's Snake. Fucking hell, I don't know how I managed to get away with that. There we go, on the next level. We are fast approaching the best I've ever done on this game. If I can get off this level, it will be the best I've done. Alright, so I have to get to 30 in order to get off this level. Oh, I went for the B. Oh, fuck it. Thing is, these are all speeding me up, yeah, and with the unresponsive controls. And the real problem is that when you do lose a life, you've got to do the level again from scratch, which is annoying. Oh, fuck off! So I am going to, there are going to be some moments where I'm pretty quiet because I'm desperately concentrating in order to try and get somewhere in this game. Oh, you cunt, I need just one more. There we go. So this is now the furthest I've ever got. Actually, no, it isn't. I have got to this stage. So if I get off here, that'll be the furthest I've ever got. But I've got to get 35 lengths now. Oh, fucking hell. I mean, I can't believe that, you know, this is a 1988 release. There you go. All done. Oh, fucking what? Anyway, yeah, this is a 1988 release. And it's Snake. And here I am playing it. And I'm actually quite enjoying it. Despite the horribly sluggish controls and fucking up big time there. So there you go, 403. That is not a bad score for me at all. I think that's the best I've ever done. Alright, so let's get a game underway then, and we'll start the review. Graphically, well, it's staggeringly bland graphics wise, but then, you know, how interesting can you make the graphics when you're, you know, making a Snake game? There we go. So yeah, graphics wise it's functional, and that's it. I don't know what that S did. Slow? Could certainly do with it. Ah, you cunt. In terms of audio, I mean, it has sound effects and music. Both are very simple again, but I mean, I guess as this was on one of these, you know, compilations of just like relatively simple games, I suppose Shaun Southern just didn't feel compelled to put in a vast amount of effort. It's not the worst Shaun Southern game I've played by any stretch. I'm not a fan of Cosmic Causeway. I wouldn't say that was his worst game. There was a game I reviewed a while back called Humdinger, which is pretty fucking forgettable. I'd say that's his worst game. Even that's not exactly terrible. My biggest problem with the audio is that on the title page, on the title page the music is fucking loud. Oh, fuck yeah, this unresponsive controls, which brings us on to gameplay. And the thing about Snake is, yes, it is very basic. It's a very simple and basic game, but it is pure playability. I mean, you compare this to fucking Afterburner or something. I know which one I'd rather play. Oh, fuck's sake. And that is despite the fact that this game does have a real problem with the controls. The sluggish nature of, you know, it detecting the control input is a real fucking pain in the arse. So surely that got me off to the next level. Right, so level 6. So I've got to get to 35. So despite the fact that it looks and sounds way too simple for its own good. It's actually not a bad game to play. It's much like that Spaceball that I reviewed not that long ago. There we go, on to the next level. Yeah, it's much like Spaceball. It's you know, yes, it's simple. It does not suffer for that. It's still an enjoyable game. God, fucking could have done without that speed up there. So there you go, another high score. And then this blaring fucking music on the title page. Right, one more go. This is absolutely one of those games that just has you saying over and over again, right, I'll have one more go. So even though, say, it may look stupidly simple and basic, it is, well, yes, it does look that, but the game itself is still compelling. It still brings you back, and you play this, you find yourself playing this game far more often than you ever thought you would. So I don't know how much the compilation was that this came on, but I suspect it was 10 quid for the 3 games. It means that it was actually pretty good value for money, because well, if they were all by Shaun Southern, I mean, you would know straight off the bat that it was going to be, you know, a collection of at least half decent games. Shaun Southern, even his, you know, shit games are still perfectly fucking playable. To say, I don't like Cosmic Causeway, but I mean, it still has the playability. I just think it's too fucking fast for its own good. And Humdinger is pretty forgettable, but again, it's not like it's an unplayable game. It certainly isn't. Okay, on to level 4. So what do I score this then? Well, despite looking like, you know, something that you may have typed in from, you know, the home computer course or whatever magazine was around then. I wonder how many people actually remember that, the home computer course. I had every single fucking copy, every single edition that was published of that. Cunt. Yeah, but yeah, despite the fact that it looks like something that was published in that, it is still a perfectly playable game. And it really does draw you in, and you find yourself playing it far more than you ever thought. If you'd never played this game before and you're just seeing this review now, there's a good chance that some of you will be thinking, fucking hell, that looks like absolute shite. Yeah, I was one. I thought it looked like absolute shite. I thought, well, if I was going to do a review of this, it would be to absolutely fucking just slaughter it. No, I'm not. It's a fucking playable game, and it is surprisingly enjoyable. I don't think this ever got reviewed in Zap. If it did, chances are they would have probably fucking slated it, you know, just like they did with Spaceball, even though Spaceball was a perfectly decent game. So I will score this 7 out of 10. It's not one of Shaun Southern's best, but it's still pretty good, and I would say, yeah, definitely check it out. So that is Super Snake Simulator for Commodore 64, 7 out of 10. Yeah, give it a go. That brings this review to an end, and we'll see you at the next one.